बोल गाना गड़ा गड़ा मुश्किल हो गई।
ज्योति ज्योति उजरती कंदर ज्योति ज्योति उजरती कंदर तुम्ही तम भंजना प्रभु तुम्ही तम भंजना नमो नमो प्रभु भाग्य मनाधिक नमो नमो प्रभु भाग्य मनाधिक भगवत नहीं गाथा प्रभु मन वचन गाथा ज्योतिर ज्योति उजरती कंदर ज्योतिर ज्योति उजरती कंदर तुम्ही तम भंजना प्रभु तुम्ही तम भंजना थे लंग रंग भंग बाजे अंग संग भुजंग थे लंग रंग भंग बाजे अंग संग भुजंग गायचे छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तुम्हार गायचे छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तुम्हार जय जय आरती तुम्हार हर हर आरती तुम्हार शिव शिव आरती
Professor Debabrata Majumdar, Dean of Student Welfare and Professor of Civil Engineering Department, IIST Shibpur. I would like to request Professor Debabrata Majumdar sir to tell some words about National Youth Day. Sir, please.
Very good evening to all of you. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible clearly.
Am I audible? Hello.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Able.
Very good evening to all of you. Today, this is really an opportunity for me to be over here and to address in the National Youth Day on the National Youth Day. In fact, in this auspicious day, we are celebrating the ideology of Swami Vivekananda, and actually his birth, it is so special to not only to India, I think it is to the entire world. In fact, the ideology what he has preached in his very short life of 39 years, it is equivalent to about more than 100 years task. And day by day, this impact is increasing. What is the reason? The reason is very clear. He has pointed out to some of the characteristic feature that any human being should have. And he targeted to the youth, who is the pillar of any society. And he thought that if we can build up a group of energetic and very much hardworking young men, then they will continue to work for the society, for the country as a whole. And it is very amazing that he could imagine for an institution which is well known as Ramakrishna Mission. And I surely believe as long as the society will survive, Ramakrishna Mission will be there. and I personally know what is the ideology that Ramakrishna Mission follows, and it is working very silently, and it is also to see there is no publicity at all, and this institution, it is now spread throughout the world and in different forms, which is with an objective, the basic objective, that welfare of the poor people. And welfare of the poor people, if we think about, then there is lot of controversy how we can go for welfare of the people. But work silently with some dedication, it is very rare. And definitely he thought about the young people and students. They are the representative of these young people. We can start from the school, we can continue in the college, and whenever the students will be, the city will be the old man or any middle-aged person, then they will also continue to propagate this ideology to their next generation. That is the logic. And I feel that in National Youth Day, we are celebrating not only the 157th birthday of Swami Vivekananda, we actually celebrating some ideology. And I hope that the students in this institute, they are very much aware of the significance of this National Youth Day, and they will continue to work under the aegis of Vivekananda Youth Circle. And one point I must mention, that students may be involved with different extracurricular activities, but at the same time, the formation, building of the character is very important, which must dictate somebody what is good and what is bad. That is what she should do and what he should not do. And during his life period, he should contribute something to the society. He should not think about himself or herself. He should contribute, he should extend his support to the society in various forms. And Swami Vivekananda, I think he's not a religious person. He never differentiates between any kind of religion. That means it is one kind of amalgamation of the all religions, and which is totally out of any kind of caste, any kind of other things. And one more point is that secularism. And he always, to my opinion, that he wanted for some kind of secular society, and which the society will be very much active only for development of the poor, development, and also helping the people, poor people as a whole. I feel that this National Youth Day, it has become a right way for any kind of celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birthday, as well as some kind of just resolution to take by the youth people for their future course of action. And I want to share one information that in this year, Vivekananda Youth Circle has been included as a club in this institute. Apart from other 13 clubs, there are 3 more clubs. So total number of clubs have become 16. And Vivekananda Youth Circle, I am very much proud to be associated with this process of formation. and Vivekananda Youth Circle. Now it will be a statutory club under the aegis of IST Shibpur, and all the activities of the Vivekananda Youth Circle, it will continue to take place with the support of the institute. And with this, I conclude my speech today, and I wish that all the students in the institute who are working under Vivekananda Youth Circle, they will at least try to follow the ideology of Swami Vivekananda. Thanks to all of you.
37th National Youth Day. Okay, so
Okay, we'll calculate later on. I think that is some error. Okay.
yes. So now I will give a small introduction about VYC.
It will continue up to 9.
So Vivekananda Youth Circle was established in 1984 when our college was named B College. Actually, 37 years ago, it was formed under guidance of professors and its members. Meet regularly every week in a study circle, undertake different social service activities, and organize lectures, seminars, and cultural years. VYC has provided excellent opportunities to those youths of this university who are striving to work, think, and build their characters on the ideals of Karma Yoga preached by Swami Vivekananda. So the main activities of VYC, or you can say that why you will join VYC. So the answer is in the screen here. So number 1, weekly session by active members of VYC. Here we study and discuss the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, practice meditation. Number 2, motivational lectures are given by Maharaj of Ramakrishna Missions and other eminent personalities on character development. 3, maintain a library books on Swami Vivekananda, Vedanta, personality development. And lastly, service-oriented activities such as granting scholarship, free coaching classes for the needy and meritorious, providing relief during calamity. So here some photos are attached from the VYC IIST Shibpur. These all are the activities of VYC. Actually, these photos are, I got these photos from my senior. And this is when I was the secretary last 3 years. January celebration near our I hall. Last year, this photo was taken. Chiefs of VYC IIST Shibpur. This is 12th January 2019 in the early morning. The active members of VYC. This is 12th January celebration in I hall, IIST Shibpur. So, if you have any query, contact with us. Professor Arun Kumar Chakravarti. He is the professor in charge of the Vivekananda Youth Circle, IIST Shibpur. And this is me, the General Secretary of VYC IIST Shibpur. And Sandeep Sikdar is 4th year Electronics Department. He is the Vice Secretary of VYC IIST Shibpur. So that's all. Thank you. Yeah.
Professor Chakravarti,
Yes.
actually, I have to move to Dean's office. There is one urgent work. Okay, so actually, I have no other way but to stay. Actually, I wanted to stay, but there is some urgent work in Dean's office. Can I leave now?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so now I would like to request Professor Gautam Bhattacharya, sir, who was former president of Vivekananda Youth Circle, IIST Sidhu, to talk about a small speech about Swami Vivekananda. Sir, please.
Thank you, Sumandir. Good evening to you all, and pranams to Sri Sri Thakur, Sri Sri Ma and Swamiji. Professor Devabrata Majumdar, Dean of Students' Welfare, revered Srimad Swami Veda Purushananda Ji Maharaj, the chief guest on the occasion, Professor Ashim Kumar Bose, Chief Advisor, VOIC, Professor Arun Kumar Chakravarti, President, VOIC, Sumandir De, General Secretary, VOIC, alumni and present members of the VOIC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Continue, please.
On his 159th birthday, I yearn to pay my tribute to Swamiji by reading out from the reminiscences of Swami Vivekananda by one of his disciples from the West, and thus sharing it with the audience, especially from the young generation. The background is like this. The World Parliament of Religions in Chicago having been over in September 1893, followed by several lectures delivered by him at nearby locations, Swami Vivekananda had arrived in the city of Detroit in February 1984 to deliver yet another series of world-shaking lectures. The very first lecture was attended by, among others, a young lady destined to become one of his illustrious disciples of Swami Vivekananda, to be known as Sister Christine. In her own words, little did I think when I reluctantly set out one cold February night in 1894 to attend a lecture at the Unitarian Church in Detroit, that I was doing something which would change the whole course of my life and be of such stupendous import that it could not be measured by previous standards I had known. At another place she writes, the power that emanated from this mysterious being was so great that one all but shrank from it. It was overwhelming. It threatened to sweep everything before it. The sister continues. Those who came to the first lecture at the Unitarian Church came to the second and to the third, bringing others with them. Come, they said, hear this wonderful man. He is like no one we have ever heard. And they came until there was no place to hold them. They filled the room, stood in the aisles, peered in at the windows. Again and again he gave his message. Now in this room, now in that, now illustrated with stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, now from the Puranas and folklore. From the Upanishads he quoted constantly, first chanting in the original Sanskrit, then giving a free poetic translation. Great as was the impression which his spoken words made, the chanting produced an even greater effect. Unplumbed deeps were stirred, and as the rhythm fell upon the ear, the audience sat rapt and breathless. Our love for India came to birth, I think, when we first heard him say the word India in that marvelous voice of his. It seems incredible that so much could have been put into one small word of 5 letters. There was love, passion, pride, longing, adoration, tragedy, chivalry, hemway, and again love. Whole volumes could not have produced such a feeling in others. It had the magic power of creating love in those who heard it. Ever after, India became the land of heart's desire. Everything concerning her became of interest, became living. Her people, her history, architecture, her manners and customs, her rivers, mountains, plains, her culture, her great spiritual concepts, her scriptures. And so began a new life, a life of study, of meditation. The center of interest was shifted. And the sister expresses her conviction. Blessed is the country in which you was born. Blessed are they who lived on this earth at the same time. And blessed, thrice blessed, are the few who sat at his feet. Our heartfelt homage and indebtedness to those blessed souls like Sister Christine for their efforts to leave behind such reminiscences that enable us to get a glimpse of Swami Vivekananda at whose feet they could sit. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now our special guest, Swami Veda Purushananda Maharaj, will speak about National Youth Day. Before he speaks, I want to tell about himself. Maharaj joined Ramakrishna Mission in 1998 at Belur Math, served Swami Ranganathananda Maharaj, 13th President of the Order as Sevak for some time, worked among tribals of Abujmar in Chhattisgarh and in Arunachal Pradesh. Maharaj served as the headmaster of schools of Purulia and Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. Now Maharajji is secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Ashram, Jhargram, a new center working among the Adivasis of Jungle Mahal. Now I would like to request Maharajji to speak. Maharaj, please.
Sumandip, can I know how many minutes I have?
40 minutes, whatever you want. 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. Very good evening to you all. My greetings and namaskars to the respected professors of the prestigious IIEST Shibpur and to my dear students of Vivekananda Youth Circle. So it is a great honor for me to be here amidst you on this holy occasion of the National Youth Day. So I thank the organizers for inviting me to this program. Today I will be basically speaking on some aspects of Swamiji's life and teachings. From the morning, the whole country is celebrating the National Youth Day with the traditional fervor and enthusiasm, undamped by the corona pandemic. But today we had a lot of, even in Jhargram also we had processions, we had meetings, and we had some service activities in our ashrama. And it gives us an opportunity to reflect on the life and teachings of Swamiji and also help us to reorient our life in his, according to his message. The world knows and respects, admires Swami Vivekananda in different roles. To some, he is a great saint. Others see him as an orator, for he is an organizer par excellence. He is an awakener of souls. He is a patriot. So we can go on and on. Even his closest disciples saw him in his own light. To some, he was an embodiment of power. To others, he was love personified. Some bowed down and worshipped him as God, and to some others, he was the youth icon. But if we ask who is really Swami Vivekananda, what is his real personality? What is the primary impulse that found its expression in his various actions? Is there any one unifying common aspect that underlies and unites the varied elements of his life and work? Or put it simply, what is that one sutra to unlock the secret of this profound personality? So we are led to ask this question, and to get the answer, we have to fall back upon Swami Vivekananda, his writings. Swami Vivekananda once said, we can grasp an idea only if it comes through an materialized ideal person. An idea is a very abstract thing. Only if it is realized in the life of a person, we can better understand it. Say, for example, the Adi Shankaracharya stands for Jnana. So if you want to know what bhakti is, you have to see the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you can say Bhagavan Buddha stands for renunciation or compassion. So each one of their life is a representation of some particular ideal. So similarly, if you ask the Swamiji, what does Swamiji represents? To me, he represents the perfect embodiment of the highest principles of Vedanta. His own life is a glorious example of the power and potentialities of the self working in and through a human body. In his mission of Vedanta lecture, Swamiji told, teach yourself and teach everyone his real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come. Everything that is excellent will come when the sleeping soul is raised to self-conscious activity. Swamiji is a living testament to the truth of this statement. So his appeal is timeless. What is the cause of it? Is it due to his patriotism or is it due to his magnetic personality? Could his spellbinding eloquence be the cause, or is that of his monastic garb? In reply, we can say it is all this and much more. Sister Christine, one of his American disciples, rightly observed, I quote, he was a class by himself. He was not of this world. He was a radiant being who had descended from another, a higher sphere for a definite purpose. So what is the purpose of Swami Vivekananda? So there are many. The first thing is Vivekananda made religions relevant in the modern times. So by religion, we have a lot of misconceptions. But both his Guru Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Swami Vivekananda, their primary purpose is to make once again the religions relevant in life. How they did it? That is through highlighting the eternal life-giving principles in all religions, and also by showing the underlying unity that binds the religions. They made the religions simple, practical, and rational. For Vivekananda, religion to be relevant should help people from all walks of life to face and overcome the daily problems. Religion, if it is relevant only for a limited set of people, say for those who are dedicated themselves for religious life, then it is meaningless. It should help people in all walks of life. And Swamiji says a religion should come down from their ivory towers and stand by the side of the common people navigating their lives in these uncertain times. The main obstacle in knowing the essential truths of the religion is the language in which these truths are hidden. Basically, the Sanskrit language, which the modern generation is not so much aware of. So Swamiji told these life-giving truths should be accessible to all in the language in which they can understand, and also through the medium that would appeal to them. Not only the language of the truth, it should be simple and it should be colloquial, but the way in which these truths are presented should be appealing to the modern generation. So it is not simply, you cannot blame the modern generation telling that they don't turn towards religion, but we have to, the elders have to reflect and see why they are not able to present the eternal truths of religion in a way that is simple, practical, and rational and appealing to the younger generation. This Swamiji thought is his life work to put into really simple English the intricate piece of Vedanta. That he has succeeded. We have it in 9 volumes of Swami Vivekananda, the very essence of Hinduism, the essence of all religions. In fact, my previous one of the professors pointed out that Vivekananda is essentially secular. Actually, Vivekananda is beyond all religions. You cannot just straitjacket him to be just a Hindu monk. He was beyond all religion. He himself claimed, I do not belong to any nation. I do not belong to any religion. He was basically a soul, a free soul who has come to this earth. There is an interesting incident which happened at Mount Abu. During his Parivrajak life, Swami Vivekananda was once he happened to go to the Mount Abu, and there he came across a Muslim lawyer. The Muslim lawyer, with a great hesitation, invited him to his house. Then he was afraid that Swamiji may refuse him. So to convince Swamiji, he said, I will have a separate arrangement of cooking food for you, so you don't have to worry. But Swamiji said, no, those things are not necessary. You are inviting me out of love, and I will definitely come to your place. So he went and stayed at the Muslim gentleman's house. And after some time, another well-known person of the town came to know that a Hindu monk is staying in a Muslim gentleman's house. He went there and said, Swamiji, you're a Hindu monk. Why are you living with a Muslim? Your food is prepared by them. It is contaminated by the touch, and you will lose your religion. So this Swamiji was fired up. And he said, Sir, what do you mean? I am a sannyasin. I am above all your social conventions. I can dine even with a sweeper, with a low-caste person. I am not afraid of God because He sanctions it. I am not afraid of the scriptures for they allow it. But I am afraid of you people and your society who know nothing of God and scriptures. I see Brahman everywhere manifested even through the meanest of creatures. For me, there is nothing high or low. Shiva, Shiva. So such was an inspiring utterance of Swamiji, who saw the same God, the same divinity in all creatures. So from that height, Swamiji is preaching is the man-making religion. He himself told, my religion is man-making. Why we should read Vivekananda? Because when you read Vivekananda, you become a better human being. Whatever profession you may be, you will become a better person. You will be a better professional. In one of his lectures, Swamiji told, Vedanta makes the fisherman a better fisherman, a teacher a better teacher, a public servant a better public servant. So irrespective of your profession, if you if you can imbibe the essential principles of a religion, essential principles of Swamiji's teachings, it will make you a good human being. And it is for that we have to read Swami Vivekananda. Our Kaviguru Rabindranath Tagore gave another reason why we should read Vivekananda. He said, in India, everything is positive and nothing negative. If you want to know India, you have to read Vivekananda. Vivekananda is the window to the past glories of our nation and the mirror to its future greatness. At the end of the 19th century, when India was at the depths of its degradation, this was the first voice which boldly proclaimed that the future rise of India will eclipse all its past glories. In one of his lectures delivered at a place called Ramnath in South India, he woke up with a brilliant line. I quote, longest night seems to be passing away, the sorest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appears to be awaking, and a voice is coming to us, gentle, firm, and yet unmistakable in its utterances. Only a blind cannot see, or the perverted will not see, that India, this motherland, is awakening. This motherland of ours from our deep, long sleep. None can resist her anymore. Never is she going to sleep anymore. No outward powers can hold her back anymore. For the infinite giant is rising to her feet. So such was the inspiring words of Swami Vivekananda addressed to a nation under slavery in 1897. So the impact of this bold declaration was not lost on the country. A historian A.L. Basha, he wrote, Vivekananda restored the Hindu faith, the faith in the nation, and the faith in himself. He declared that Hinduism was the oldest and the purest of the world's religions, and India was the most spiritual nation of the world. Swamiji's love for India is limitless. He tells India is a community where the souls on their way to the God has to come to take birth in this land. He said, the very dust of India is holy to me. India I loved before I came to the West, but after living in these Western nations, for me now the very dust of India is holy. So such was his love for India, and his love also inspired the similar feeling in most of our freedom fighters in that period of our country. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan says, my pride as a Hindu was roused by the enterprise and the eloquence of Swami Vivekananda at an impressionable period of my life. So that's how Vivekananda breathed life into the great nation. So we often, Swamiji has predicted that I am not wishing, I'm not, but I'm really seeing that the future rise of India is there before my eyes. I can see it. It's not that I wish for it, I can really see it. But now if we just reflect, how is India going to be great? So the days of colonialism is over. So in those days, some nations rob the wealth of other nations, exploit the people and resources, and they become great. So those days are gone. And then there came a period when some nations become rich by the virtue of some natural resources, some oil, gold, or like that. So India is not also going to rise in that way. If India has to rise, it has to rise by the powers of the mind of its people, by the energy and enterprise of its sons and daughters. It will rise by the strength of its religious and spiritual culture. It will rise because it had been declared long ago that the meek will inherit the earth. It has to rise because, in the words of the historian Arnold Toynbee, a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending if it is not to end in a self-destruction of human race. A time comes in the life of a nation when nations naturally and accumulated defects and march forwards to realize its full potential with dream, courage, optimism, and energy. Turning points in a long history. Such periods come few and far between. We are fortunate to be living in this period and privileged to take part in this momentous change. There is a tremendous aspiration in the people which need to be properly channelized for constructive purposes. Here Vivekananda, with his life-giving message, shows us, particularly the young generation, the way forward. He is a prophet who was born to inspire, who by his own admission said that he won't rest till humanity realizes its innate passion and manifested it in action. He was born to inspire men and women in all walks of life to manifest the full potential and achieve the fulfillment in life. Vivekananda inspired everyone who came in touch with him when he was mortal today and he continues to inspire millions even after his mortal coil. The beauty of Swami Vivekananda's inspiration is that it is not confined to the field of religion alone. We see people in all walks of life, authorities, scientists, politicians, social workers, common people, all receive impetus to go forward and realize the full potential by coming in touch with Swami Vivekananda. His thoughts are the philosopher's stone, the man in the God. So there are plenty of incidences in Swamiji's life. So one Ella Wilcox, she was a well-known writer. She had the privilege of listening to Swami Vivekananda. She died, I think. We felt ourselves lifted into an atmosphere so rarefied, so vital, so wonderful that we sat spellbound and almost breathless. It was the period of the financial disasters and spending sleepless nights in worry and anxiety. They go listen to Swamiji's lectures and return in confidence and assured that Ella Wheeler says when any philosophy, when any religion can do this for human beings in this area of stress and strain, when added to that, it intensifies the faith in God and increases the sympathy for the blind and gives them confident joy in the thought of other lives to come. It is a good and great news. Like her, millions of ordinary men and women derive confidence and succor from to face and overcome the life's challenges, inspired by the Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda's words does not mean people live in this world, but rather help them face the challenges headlong and come out successful. He once in one of his lectures said that how to the users of life, religion apparently asks to do the life itself. So some say that evils in this world cannot be eradicated. So let us learn to live with it. But Swami presents another way. He says, try to see God even in the evil things. The corona pandemic is there. So it is certainly evil that will cause a lot of destruction in this world. But it is not any good things also coming out of this evil. If we reflect that there is certainly some good things that happen due to this pandemic also. Like to see both good and evil as gifts from God, or be indifferent, knowing your reality. Those are the two paths which Swami presents. So I was thinking about the capacity of Swamiji's words to inspire people. There are so many incidences in Swamiji's life when he was alive, when people who came into contact with them were changing their whole life and changing. You know, Rockefeller, he was at that time one of the richest men in America, a very, very successful industrialist. But at the same time, he was a very stringent man. He did not give excessive power for charity. He was like one who came to meet Swami Vivekananda, and Vivekananda advocated the necessity of sharing his wealth with others. But Rockefeller won't take it. He went into it. But his work of Swami was just dropping in his mind. And he came to Swamiji and raised a check places like Swami's table and said, here you see the check I have given to your organization, and now you have time. And Swami will say, it is for you and not me. There was a donation made by Rockefeller for the public cause. So later we know that even today the Rockefeller Foundation is one of the premier charitable foundations in the world. So we all know how Swamiji's words inspired Jamshedji Tata to start Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. The primary school teacher in England, Interior Lokamata, and referring to Sister Vedita. She was the primary school teacher who spent her time in informing some education at Swamiji. She had her own life took a new direction and she grew into a Lokamata. And we know how the fairly revolutionary turned into a series which she had undergone. In India, such a ideas was transformed by verbs into the world-renowned Netaji. But Swamiji's inspiration is not confined to the past. We know the life of Nazareth was not he was on his way to the state village in Maharashtra. On the way for the train and he had a station. He had to come across a small letter from Swamiji. Where it was done, they only move for others, the rest of the way and alive. So that's basically my most of perception and his life turned into life. Similarly, I read recently that one of the fastest maybe evolution of India was Swaminathan. He was initially on the road for the MBBS course and when he was pursuing the first year, the year was Swamiji's teachings and he was inspired and at that time India would not feed its people. And he felt that it is his responsibility to do something for the country. It is continuous critical course, the Gurkha course on agriculture, and went down many areas back in the agricultural field. So similarly, where FFIs, if we can also open ourselves to Swamiji's influence. And our own life also can change. When our teachings of the previous life, that the one all liberating on our hearts. It works away the centuries of superstitions and illusions, and liberty of our mind to manifest its imperfection. This ignorance was once identity, away from ways, rising from people and unknown greatness. We shall allow this work and find oneness of God. So that is a great commitment. So we all may come of time and our commitment that we so sources limited. But almost the fact is we can take some commitment that we will continue to work, we will continue to guide. Each human being has its own unique dimension and ability. If everyone we attach the eternal meaning of peace, of privilege, of love that is going within, and on what we can do is to open ourselves to this. Once a young man also Swamiji and told Swamiji, I am trying to meditate every day but not able to concentrate. I close doors and windows, I shut myself from all external distractions and when I am not able to concentrate my mind. And so Swamiji told my body, you listen to me, let me hear my advice. You open your doors and windows, you go out of your house and see into your surroundings. There will be some people who are suffering, who may be having some privations. You go and try to help them, give them try your best to relieve their sufferings. And now after doing that, you come with some meditation. You will see you will have a very nice meditation. I don't know whether they follow us from these advice, but if you want to really move your life in Swamiji's words, it is only by the living parts of Yaga and Seva that Swamiji is for us. Seva cannot be Seva without Yaga. Whenever we set forth to love something, we have also sacrificed something of our part. So these two ideas of Yaga and Seva according to our capacity, we should try to implement in our life. And we have to also, when we read Swamiji, so he stands for faith, Swamiji stands for fearlessness, Swamiji stands for unselfish service, he stands for manliness, Swamiji stands for action, Swamiji stands for combination of the head, heart and mind. He is the head, the ability to think of a problem. You should be there to feel for the people. You should be able to think a practical solution, and you should be also able to execute it. So these three combination and the strong will that can face all obstacles. So these things are all necessary. So when we read Swami Vivekananda, our life automatically gets molded in this way. So I am happy that this is Vivekananda Youth Circle is everyday personal meeting, and every week and discussing Swamiji's writings. And then another point I want to make today, there are so many quotations of Swamiji which he never uttered. Today morning also I went to one of the meetings, and the speaker quoted Swamiji's name, which Swamiji was very pandit in complete works. So like the internet, you will find so many popular names going in the name of Swamiji, but they are not. So I would advise my young friends to go to the source of his writing, go and read the source textbooks. And you may read little textbooks, but still read authentic books, and authentic books published by the Krishna Mission, authentic websites available in the internet, so that you can really understand Swamiji correctly. And another important function is this practical fulfillment is to bring all the like-minded people like you together. When we are single, then we may become weak. We may be easily thwarted by other people's ideas. Lord gave an example. He says, yes, single stick can be easily broken, but you bind some 10 sticks together, it is not easy to break that. When you are alone, you may be easily swayed by other temptations. But when all of you come together under a common purpose to read and understand Swami Vivekananda, you will get a different type of strength. So this is called Sangha Shakti. So that Shakti will help you to take your life forward. So this is a few words. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on Swami Vivekananda. Remember, Swami Vivekananda is not all intellect, he was all heart. Swamiji, it bled for the suffering of the country when he once told, as long as a single dog in my country remains hungry, my religion is fulfilled. So see the heart of Swamiji. So if you read Swami Vivekananda and if your heart doesn't become hard enough to feel for the others, then you are not moving in the right direction. So that is my small observation on this day. I pray to Thakur Ma and Swamiji that they guide these young, brilliant minds of our country, the future of our nation, and let Swamiji be there in your intellect, be there in your heart, be there in your hands, and through you let him work to fulfill his dreams for this nation. Jai Swamiji Maharaji ki Jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. I want to thank you for your encouraging as well as inspiring speech. I'm sure all of you must have been thoroughly inspired by his wonderful words. Now I want to thank all the respected deans and professors, alumni of our college, my batchmates, my juniors, and lastly, all the active members of Swamiji. So now we are in the final stage of this program. Now I will read Swadesh Mantra of Swami Vivekananda in Bengali, as it is already written in Bengali. all of you are able to repeat it with me, but keep yourself mute, otherwise there will be chaos. So let's begin. স্বদেশ মন্ত্র। হে ভারত, এই পরাণবাদ, পরাণকরণ, পরম অপেক্ষা, এই দাসসুলভ দুর্বলতা, এই ঘৃণিত জঘন্য নিষ্ঠুরতা, এই মাত্র বলে বলে তুমি উচ্চাধিকার লাভ করিবে? এই লজ্জা কাপুরুষতা সহায় তুমি বীরভোগ্যা স্বাধীনতা লাভ করিবে? বলিও না, তোমার নারী জাতির আদর্শ সীতা, সাবিত্রী, দময়ন্তী। বলিও না, তোমার উপাস্য মানব সর্বত্যাগী শঙ্কর। বলিও না, তোমার বিবাহ, তোমার ধন, তোমার জীবন ইন্দ্রিয় সুখে, নিজের ব্যক্তিগত সুখের জন্য নহে। ভুলিও না, তুমি জন্ম হইতেই মায়ের জন্য বলি প্রদত্ত। ভুলিও না, তোমার সমাজ সে বিরাট মহামায়ার ছায়া মাত্র। ভুলিও না, নিজ জাতি, মূর্খ, দরিদ্র, অজ্ঞ, নিচি, মেথর, তোমার রক্ত, তোমার। হে বীর, সাহস অবলম্বন করো, সদর্পে বলো আমি ভারতবাসী, ভারতবাসী আমার ভাই। বলো মূর্খ ভারতবাসী, দরিদ্র ভারতবাসী, ব্রাহ্মণ ভারতবাসী, চণ্ডাল ভারতবাসী আমার ভাই। তুমিও কোটিমাত্র বস্ত্রাবৃত হইয়া সদর্পে ডাকিয়া বলো, ভারতবাসী আমার ভাই, ভারতবাসী আমার প্রাণ, ভারতের দেবদেবী আমার ঈশ্বর, ভারতের সমাজ আমার শিশুসজ্জা, আমার যৌবনের উপবন, আমার বার্ধক্যের বারাণসী। বলো ভাই, ভারতের মৃত্তিকা আমার স্বর্গ, আর ভারতের কল্যাণ আমার কল্যাণ। আর বলো দিন রাত, হে গৌরীনাথ, হে জগদম্বে, আমায় মনুষ্যত্ব দাও। মা, আমার দুর্বলতা কাপুরুষতা দূর করো, আমায় মানুষ করো। So it's completed. All right. One second. So thanks to all of you again for joining with us. Continuously 3 years, I was the General Secretary of Vivekananda Youth Circle, IEST Sibpur. This is my final year. Few months back, Vivekananda Youth Circle is registered as an official club of IIST Sibpur. That was a very proud moment for us. I am very, very happy today to organize the program very well, and I hope all of you enjoyed this wonderful program. So now, officially our program is over. A big thank to all of you. Thank you.
Maharaj Pranam.
Pranam Maharaj.
Pranam Maharaj.
Thanks to Sumandip.